Sockets interview questions and answers. Beginner means advanced. Introduction. A socket is an endpoint used for communication between two systems over a network. Sockets are widely used for client-server communication, chat applications, multiplayer games, real-time systems, web servers, distributed systems. Sockets enable: check network communication, check data transfer, check real-time messaging, check protocol implementation. Common socket programming languages include check Java, check Python, check C++, Go. 1 to 20. Socket basics. What is a socket? Endpoint for network communication between systems. What is socket programming? Writing programs that communicate over networks. What is client-server architecture? One system requests services, another provides them. What is client socket? Socket initiating communication. What is server socket? Socket listening for connections. What protocol commonly uses sockets? Check TCP, check UDP. What is IP address? Unique network identifier for device. What is port number? Logical communication endpoint. Common HTTP port 80. Common HTTPS port 443. Reliable connection-oriented protocol. What is UDP? Lightweight connectionless protocol. TCP versus UDP. JUC. TCP reliable, JUC. UDP faster. Communication requiring established connection. What is connectionless communication? Communication without persistent connection. What is packet? Unit of network transmitted data. Communication delay between systems. What is bandwidth? Maximum transferable network capacity. What is socket address? Socket address example: 192.168.110.8080, 21 to 40. TCP socket programming. What is TCP socket programming? Reliable stream-based communication programming. Java TCP server socket example: server socket server equals new server socket 8080. Java TCP client socket example: socket socket equals new socket localhost 8080. What is bind operation? Associating socket with IP port. What is listen operation? Waiting for incoming connections. What is accept method? Server.accept. What does accept do? Accepts incoming client connection. Reads incoming network data. What is output stream in sockets? Sends outgoing network data. Read socket data example: input.read. Send socket data example: output.write. What is socket connection lifecycle? Connect, communicate, connect. What is handshake in TCP? Process establishing connection. What is TCP three-way handshake? SYN, SYN-ACK, ACK. What is full duplex communication? Both sides communicate simultaneously. What is half duplex communication? One direction at a time. What is blocking socket? Waits until operation completes. What is non-blocking socket? Continues other tasks while waiting for completion. Returns immediately without waiting. What is timeout in sockets? Maximum wait duration for operations. Timeout example: socket.set so timeout 5000, 41 to 70. UDP, multithreading and real-time communication. What is UDP socket programming? UDP socket example: datagram socket equals new datagram socket. What is datagram packet? UDP communication packet. UDP advantages: faster, lower overhead. No reliability, packet loss possible. Common UDP use cases: gaming, streaming, DNS. What is multicast socket? Sends packets to multiple receivers, sending data to all devices in network. What is socket buffer? Temporary memory storing network data. What is socket backlog? Queue of pending connections. What is concurrent socket server? Server handling multiple clients simultaneously. Why use multi-threading in socket servers? Check. Parallel client handling. Check. Scalability. Thread per client model. One thread handles each client. What is thread pool socket server? Reusing worker threads efficiently. What is asynchronous socket communication? Non-blocking event-driven communication. What is selector polling mechanism? Monitoring multiple sockets efficiently. What is Java NIO? Non-blocking I/O API. NIO socket channel example: socket channel.open. What is event-driven networking? Communication triggered by events. What is WebSocket? Persistent bidirectional communication protocol. WebSocket versus HTTP? Check HTTP request response. WebSocket persistent connection. Common WebSocket use cases. Key chat apps. Key live notifications. Key multiplayer games. What is real-time communication? Near instant bidirectional messaging. What is keep alive packet? Packet preventing idle disconnection. What is heartbeat mechanism? Periodic connectivity check. What is socket reconnection logic? Automatically reconnecting after disconnect. What is socket polling? Repeatedly checking for data. What is socket streaming? Continuous data transmission. What is flow control? Managing transmission speed. What is back pressure? Preventing overloaded receivers. 71-100. Advanced socket concepts and best practices. What is socket exception? Network communication error. Common socket exceptions: connection refused, timeout, broken pipe, no server listening on target port. What is DNS resolution? Converting domain names into IP addresses. What is localhost? 127.0.0.1. What is IPv4? 32-bit IP addressing scheme. What is IPv6? Modern 128-bit IP addressing scheme. What is NAT? Network address translation. What is firewall? Network traffic filtering system. What is SSL TLS socket? Encrypted secure socket communication. What is HTTPS socket communication? HTTP over TLS secured sockets. What is socket encryption? Protecting transmitted data. What is man-in-the-middle attack? Intercepting communication maliciously. How secure sockets? TLS encryption, authentication, secure certificates. What is load balancing for socket servers? Distributing client connections across servers. What is socket scalability challenge? Yes, many concurrent connections, memory usage. What is connection pooling? Reusing existing connections efficiently. What is socket leak? Unclosed socket consuming resources. What is graceful shutdown? Closing connections safely. Common socket interview topics: TCP versus UDP, multithreading, WebSockets, socket lifecycle. Common socket programming problems: C. Deadlocks. C. Timeouts, resource leaks. Best practices for socket programming: C. Close sockets properly. C. Handle exceptions. C. Use timeouts. What is distributed system communication? Systems communicating over networks. What is message framing? Defining boundaries between messages. What is serialization in sockets? Converting objects into transferable format. Common serialization formats: JSON, protobuf, XML. How to become strong in socket programming. Build chat applications, create TCP UDP servers, study networking fundamentals. Biggest socket interview concept: reliable and scalable network communication. Key socket interview focus: TCP UDP, concurrency, real-time communication, and network reliability. Why are sockets fundamental in distributed systems? Sockets enable real-time communication and data exchange between networked applications and systems. Final summary: socket interviews focus on: check, TCP and UDP, client-server communication, socket lifecycle, multithreading and concurrency, WebSockets, real-time messaging, network reliability, secure socket communication. Key idea: strong developers understand scalable network communication, concurrency models, real-time protocols, and reliable client-server socket architecture.